In part 0, we went over the initial starting point of the app. And so in part 1, we'll be connecting our app to Firebase and Firestore. To make this easy, I created my own npm package for this. So in the services folder, I have a folder for databases, and inside of that, I have a food pantry db server.ts file. The .server extension ensures that the code is only run on the server and not leaked to the client. This function gives us our food pantry DB object, and we're able to export that out. This function takes 3 arguments. One is my Firebase app name. 2 is the service account, our API key for accessing Google Cloud Platform. And finally, it takes a collections object, which has the path names for the different collections that will be in our Firestore. The arguments for this function, I'm actually getting here from our get server environment variables function. The Firebase app name and the service account are just strings. These will be located in a .env file, and I have also created a .env.txt file to kind of show you how the different environment variables will look. And so working with the food pantry staff, the food pantry manager said that the events that she works with generally have 4 stages to them. One is the planning stage, where she's just doing everything behind the scenes to get the event ready. We have the open for request stage. And during this time period, families that would like to request a reservation, they can. At that point, she closes the reservation system, and then the event is moved to the open for pickups. And so during this time, families that have already requested a food box, they would come during their scheduled appointment time, pick up their food box, and then once all of the food boxes have been distributed, then the event has moved into its archived stage. Okay, going back to the route, we have the challenge that we want each user that comes to the homepage should only see their events and reservations. In order to do that, we need to get a unique user ID, and user ID is going to come from our authentication provider. In order to keep this modular, what I've done is I've created a handle auth function that will be used in each of the routes. I am using a function that I just called require auth that will take the arguments that provide it to handle auth, pass it to our require auth function, and that will return a user ID. For some of the apps, we will be using Firebase auth in order to provide our authentication. For the user ID that I'm using right now for testing, I just simply created a collection for users and got one of the document IDs there and called that the user ID, and I'm returning it from require auth. So now we have our user ID for the person that is on our homepage. We're going to take that from our handle auth function, and then we're going to pass that as an argument to our get page data function. So from here in our get page data function, we are going to, first of all, make some changes to both our get events and our get reservations. The first thing we're going to do is get our events docs with our get events function. So to get a list of events docs, I'm importing my food pantry DB. I'm going to my events section, and then I'm using my list by stages. We will be looking for events that are in the stage of open for requests and open for pickups. In order to make this easy, lessen the amount of data that's coming back, picking the bits and pieces that I need for this individual route. From there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my reservation docs by calling my get reservations function and passing along the user ID and that event's IDs. Get reservations is a little bit more complicated. We want to find out which events this user has a reservation for. So we need to pass a user ID, and I'm also passing a list of event IDs. And the reason for this is that if I just searched by events for a user, that list of reservations could grow longer and longer and longer. Finding the reservation doc that has the same event ID, add the event name to the reservation. I do a couple of things here in order to convert the number from the 24-hour clock standard to 12-hour clock format. If a person has already applied for an event or already requested a food box at the event, because a family cannot apply for 2 food boxes for the same event. What I wanted to do is filter out that event. Then at the end here, returns open events and reservations exactly as previously, and that will end up showing in our homepage. And that's being returned by our loader, and our components are then able to access that data from our use loader data and be able to display it.